Hey guys, welcome to Bipolar Boxing. We're going to do some breakdowns for the UFC Freedom 250 card. It's a great card. I mean, I shit on it a little bit in the beginning, but the more and more I look at the card, it's a really good card. Every single fight on there is a good fight. They're all going to bring excitement. Whether I mean, there's a few like mismatches on there, but the mismatches are going to bring probably a great knockout, like the Mauricio Hoofy fight. I'm gonna try and break down every fight and just put them down in separate videos. I might not even do that like Hoofy Chandler fight. There's not really a reason to do it. But I see why you put the fight on there, and I think with that fight, they're just trying to pay back Michael Chandler for making him wait for that stupid Conor McGregor fight that everybody knew what wasn't going to happen to begin with, but they just made him sit on the bench for like 2 years waiting for that dumb fight that was never going to happen. And but yeah, the rest of the card's good, and this first fight starting off is an absolute banger. You got Diego Lopes is one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC, and Steve Garcia is just a guy that just he comes forward. He's not great at anything. He's just good at a lot of different things. Um, and Diego Lopes is just he's a guy that I don't like. I enjoy his fights and everything, but he's a very hard guy to. I think I've bet him right in every single one of his UFC fights, but he's a very difficult guy to watch when you're betting because he gets hit a lot and he doesn't mind getting hit. And it's just it bothers me because I'm like, you're going to run into somebody one day and that shit ain't going to work. This could be that fight where I think Diego Lopez is the more skilled fighter, especially because like when you go to striking, chin, and everything like that, like they're pretty much equal. They're just a little different in the way they do things. But Steve Garcia is just as tough as Diego Lopez. He probably hits a little harder, but I think Diego Lopez will be able to take his shots. But this is the UFC; it's not boxing, and with those little 4 ounce gloves on, you can put somebody's lights out real quick. It's not like just because Diego Lopez has been so many wars, that doesn't mean he can't just get clocked on the chin by Steve Garcia and not wake up. But yeah, it's just when you're breaking down this fight, like you look at the fight and you're just like, this should be a showcase for Diego Lopez. Why would they put Diego Lopez in a fight like this? Where now, if he loses, I think it's going to be 3 losses in his last 4 fights. I think because I think he fought Volkanovski back to back, and then he had that big win. Or no, I think he went Volkanovski, Gene Silva, Volkanovski. I think, and yeah, that's a tough schedule. That poor guy's had a tough schedule coming in the UFC. Now they've repaid him very well because somehow that guy got 2 title shots before my boy Movsar Evloev, who I believe is the best in that division, and he's been the best in that division for 3 years, and nobody will give him a damn title shot. The guy he beats Diego Lopez at his freaking pro debut, and he goes out and he beats Arnold Allen. He beats Aljamain Sterling, and the guy doesn't have a freaking title shot yet. Then you give Diego Lopez a title shot for beating Brian Ortega, like the pretty much the ghost of Brian Ortega. And I don't like that when politics become involved in the UFC. It makes no sense whatsoever. How the hell that guy gets 2 title shots when he shouldn't have got one before Movsar. But regardless, I just think Diego Lopez is I trust him more in this fight. I trust his chin a little more just because we've seen it tested. And what I really trust is his resume. Just he's been in there with the top of the top in that division. And yeah, he's lost, but at least he's shared the octagon with those guys. And that's a big deal because Steve Garcia has not. He's fought all those like B, maybe B plus fighters, and he's winning. He's on a 7 fight win streak. But I just don't trust his resume. And I even dug into his resume, and you look, I think I had it pulled up, but like his losses are not that bad. Like you would say Luis Pena is a terrible loss, but I remember that was Luis Pena when he was fresh off the contenders or no the Ultimate Fighter, and he was a very good wrestler, and that was his dominant. And sometimes when you go against those wrestlers, it'd be like, man, he's not the best all around fighter. But if those wrestlers implement their game, they could beat anybody. Those, like we just watched. Bryce Missile last weekend. That guy was free money. He was minus 130 against a guy that's only 8-0. And I'm just like, this guy doesn't have the experience to be able to stop a specialist like this. And I believe he was coming down in weight too. So he's the bigger guy, and everyone's like, oh, bigger guy. He's just going to stuff the takedowns and he's way better on the feet. No, he couldn't stuff the takedowns. And that's kind of what I worry about here for the striking is Diego Lopez has been in there with A-plus fighters and A-plus strikers. So what I'm really thinking about is Diego Lopez. I if he just beat Gene Silva and you bet him against Gene Silva, how don't you take him against Steve Garcia? Like John Silva's got to be, he's pretty much just a better version of Steve Garcia, is he not? You know, maybe he doesn't hit as hard, I guess, but he's a lot more difficult fight than Steve Garcia, in my opinion. So I don't like doing MMA math like that because every fight is different within its own. But it's just I got to pick somebody. I'm not going to watch these fights and just keep hoping for underdogs to come through. Like I think a lot of these matchups were made to showcase the A side fighter, and that's what Diego Lopez is. Steve Garcia's got a decent resume because I'm look 5 losses. Let me see who those 5 losses came to. They were all the decent fighters. Like I said, Luis Pena is probably the weakest one on there. But even before he got in the UFC, he fought like Alan Cruz. Alan Cruz was good. He lost to Joe Warren though. That kind of but Joe Warren was a dominant fighter in Bellator. If you remember Bellator back in the day, he was the guy. He was the top of the Bellator for like 5 or 6 years. Him and Alexander Shlemenko back then. I believe they fought too a couple times. But so like that loss, I didn't check in to see where Joe Warren was in his career, but I'm assuming Joe Warren is really old. But once again, Joe Warren's just a stud wrestler. And like I said, those guys implement their game plan and you just can't shake them off you, and then they just win decisions. Um, but Diego Lopez doesn't have any of that. So this will be a more competitive fight. And like I said, Diego Lopez just likes getting hit. He probably one of those guys that's like it wakes him up. It probably helps him fight better. But I don't trust him too much. It's just, at minus 180 or whatever, you just got to go with the A side in this fight and just go with Diego Lopez. I just think he's the safer bet. I wouldn't load up on this fight because, just because you like Lopez and you think he can't get knocked out and stuff like that. I mean, if this becomes the fight that everyone thinks it's going to be, because I think some people are thinking if it's just a slugfest, it's a 50-50 fight. So why wouldn't I take the plus money on a fight like that? Go ahead and do it. I got to pick somebody. I bet every single fight that I watch. So I got to put my money somewhere. And I just trust Diego Lopez a tad bit more than Steve Garcia. But win or lose for this fight, like I would love to see the winner. I would love to see the winner fight like Arnold Allen. I love Arnold Allen. He's another one that got a kind of a rough shake in the UFC. Just tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. I remember they had him fight Max Holloway and Movsar Evloev back to back. That was so messed up. And poor Arnold Allen was on like a 10 fight win streak, and then he loses 2 fights in a row. Everybody forgets about him. But it is what it is. But yeah, let's just go with Lopez. Just go with Lopez by decision here. I don't like taking methods of victory, so do not take my prediction for this and say, "Oh, I have to bet Lopez by decision." Like I don't bet that. I just bet straight up money lines, 2-way betting or 3-way betting, not 2-way, and or 2-way betting, not 3-way. Sorry, but yeah, just Diego Lopez by decision. Have a good night, guys.